Would you mind getting inside the oven to clean it?
I'm sorry?
I'm too big. I can't reach back there. The kitchen's got to be clean. The oven's off.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
Get farther in there. All the way in.
In a world where zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist, it's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin, and they are all that stand between you and the films that could end the world. Welcome to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Review Podcast. Just want to thank all our fans and listeners. We really appreciate the support. We really hope y'all checked out our interview with Tyler Main we just dropped. Really awesome. We really appreciate you giving your time, Tyler. Finally got a Michael Myers actor on the show. That was awesome.
The best Michael Myers.
In your opinion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Before we jump into tonight's film review, we're just going to give a quick shout out to our website, don'tgoouthere.com. We got all of our interviews, episodes, celebrity shout outs, our store. Go check it out. And quick shout out to all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just search Don't Go Out There and you'll see Brian's awesome graphic. And Brian wants to talk about social media real quick. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, we're actually looking for a company to partner with to either, be our main sponsor or perhaps just, sponsor a segment like best kill, worst kill, something like that. So if you're someone out there that, wants to possibly do that, we would love to chat with you. Just reach out to any of us on any of the platforms that Nico just mentioned, or we have a contact page with all of that stuff listed on don'tgoouthere.com. And we look forward to a partnership with someone out there. So we just wanted to put that out there today.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Tonight is my film choice for review. I chose 2015's The Visit. It's our first M. Night Shyamalan movie, and I'll go ahead and just give my quick overview first. I lied to my fellow co-hosts in our group text, and I said this was the first M. Night movie I ever saw. That was a lie. The first one I ever saw actually was Devil, which is not a bad movie, but it's just not real memorable to me. But this one is very memorable to me. I remember watching this movie. I was working at a sawmill. I was working on the Saturday shift. And my job basically on Saturdays, you're just sitting there being a babysitter, watching stuff, watching tools and handing out parts. So I really had nothing to do. So I rented this movie from Redbox and I popped it in. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into outside of the trailer. And then when that plot twist at the end hit, I was like, holy shit. I remember tweeting about how shook I was. I really like this movie. I think the acting top to bottom is great. The two kids are great, and the grandparents are great. I really like this movie. Go ahead, Brian. What's your general overview?
This is actually the first time I had seen this movie, and I like this movie a lot. I'm kind of an M. Night Shyamalan fan, though. In my defense, I haven't seen all of his movies. I never saw Lady in the Water or After Earth or even Devil, actually. And I know universally, like Mike just said, a lot of people don't like those. So, but I love Sixth Sense. I love Unbreakable, Glass, that whole trilogy. I like The Village, and I know I'm probably one of the only few people on Earth that actually like The Happening, but I really do. So I think I'm more of an M. Night Shyamalan fan than the average person. And so far, I'm 100% on all of his movies I've watched. I like every single one of them. And I thought it was really cool when I saw the story where, he just took the money he was given from After Earth and just kind of went on his own and made this movie on this super small budget, which we've seen in the past makes you focus more on the story and the script. So again, I really like this movie.
So this is a return to form for M. Night Shyamalan, in my opinion. Is it great? No. But is it good? Yes. I enjoy this movie. I saw it in the theater when it came out. Scary as hell in the theater. And I don't mean I was scared, but, there's definitely those scary moments at the end that did get me. And it's hard, and I'm a hard one to get. So, job well done there. What I will say is, just comment on M. Night Shyamalan. a lot of mixed bag there because, like you, Brian, I like The Sixth Sense and Glass and Split and all that stuff. And even The Village and The Happening's okay. It's not the worst movie ever made, but there's a lot of shit in his repertoire as well. And this was kind of a return to what I think of when I think of M. Night Shyamalan. And look, this movie has what I think is a really cool twist. If this movie didn't have that twist, I don't know how much I would enjoy it because it's just kind of a stock found footagey movie until then. And I do want to give them credit. I think this movie works not being shot with like found footage style camera. Most found footage style movies wouldn't, but this one does for some reason. And I think
absolutely.
and I think it's because the character, the teenage girl, is supposed to be a filmmaker, and so it actually makes some sense that she might have a decent camera and all that. So I enjoy the movie. Again, it has some stuff that I don't like. I think it draws out a little bit. This movie is a little bit over an hour and a half. I feel like it could have probably went under that runtime, in my opinion. But again, still enjoy it. It has really good scares. And this movie's, I don't know if it's supposed to be funny, but it's got some funny ass parts in it for sure.
Oh, absolutely. So I too am a M. Night Shyamalan fan. Like Brian, you said you might be one of the few. I beg to differ, brother. I enjoy The Happening. I enjoy
Nice.
Unbreakable, Split, and Glass. Those three are great as a trilogy. I thought Split was the highlight of those three movies, but whatever. Signs is one of my favorite movies. Like I enjoy M. Night Shyamalan movies, and so when I'm watching this one, which by the way I hadn't seen until a few days ago, I watched it. I think it was Thursday for the first time. I missed it when it came out, and I just never got around to it. If there's one thing that M. Night Shyamalan's going to do, he's going to give you a twist. And so I'm watching this movie like, okay, what's the twist? What's the twist? What's the twist? I enjoy it, but I think that there are things that could have been better. I think there are things that have been better in his other films. But overall, I enjoy the movie. I think that the casting is great from top to bottom. And we'll see, we'll see once we get to the scene by scene how I feel about the overall effects of the movie. But I think it's listen, you're not going to find an M. Night Shyamalan movie that I don't like. So, Nico, relax. I'm not going to shit on your movie again. I'm going to enjoy it. We'll just see what the overall score is.
Well, thank God. I couldn't handle another joyride. My heart couldn't take it. And then when you shit on Insidious, that hurt me a lot too. But before I jump into the scene by scene, I will say I think the plot twist is great. Me and Brian were texting about the plot twist earlier because he hadn't seen it. And I just, I was like, hey, brother, how'd you like the movie? I think there's kind of a major plot hole with the twist. But if you can kind of excuse it, which you really shouldn't, especially if you're a parent, it kind of hurts the twist. But I kind of excuse it. But y'all ready to jump into the scene by scene?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, the film starts with the mom telling, her life story. She fell in love with a substitute teacher. They had 2 kids, but he left when he fell in love with a person at Starbucks. She left at age 19 and hasn't spoke to her parents in 15 years. Their parents reached out on the internet and want to see their grandkids. And, the mom looked up like this mental hospital they worked at and all. They're counselors. Mom hasn't told her kids about what happened and why they don't see their grandparents. Tyler is telling mom how he's got 2 girls on text, whatever that means. She drops both the kids off at the train station, with the old classic chase the train. And then when the mom realizes they're gone, she starts crying. Becky and Tyler, they start their documentary off saying mom and boyfriend, they're going on a cruise. Tyler has an issue with germs since his dad left. Now he's freestyle rapping with the train worker who is beatboxing for him. They exit the train and unite with the grandparents. Monday morning, Becca intros the grandparents to the documentary. They get to the house and see their mom's tree swing, and they pose and take pictures and all that by it. Tyler shows off his rapping skills to Nana. Pineapple upside down cake is what he has to freestyle about. They get to their mom's room and they pick their beds. Pop says no going into the basement because there's mold down there, and they realize they don't have any cell signal. They Skype call with mom. She cares but doesn't care about how her parents are acting. Camera operator is Tyler's title. Tyler's outside now and he sees Pop go into a shed and calls for him, but Pop just kind of ignores him and doesn't answer. That's the first 2 scenes I got. Go ahead, Brian.
So this is, I believe, the only role that I've ever seen Catherine Hahn, who plays the mom in this, that is actually serious. Obviously, my mind goes directly to Step Brothers, where she's asking Dale to crawl up in her vagina and live there. So I definitely had a little bit of a hard time taking her seriously as the mom, but she really did do a good job playing a seemingly like overwhelmed mom, and she did a really good job with her role. That was just my own personal problem I have picturing her after the other stuff I've seen her in. I'll say the dialogue in this movie isn't maybe the most natural or the most believable, but I feel like the actors do a really good job of actually delivering it like in a way where it is believable, if that makes sense. Like Becca's big words, I think, are too much, and Tyler's rapping is too good. It's awesome, but it's like it's probably too good for their ages. But like I said, it's easily overlooked for me because they do such a good job in their performance. And Tyler's my favorite character in this movie by far. I think the found footage route was a really good way to go with this. I think it's way more effective than it would have been otherwise, and it gives you a lot more tension. I feel like, and we know I'm a found footage fan anyway. I don't know of one that we've done that I haven't been a fan of anyway, so maybe I'm biased. I also think you can't say enough about Deanna Dunnigan and Peter McRobbie as Nana and Pop Pop. They do a tremendous job acting, especially in this group of scenes. I feel like with making you feel like there's more to them than they're letting on. Also, I want to just say, I want to kind of echo what Mike said with the camera. The camera is way too good for one of these kids to have. But you know what? Just like Mike said, that's a nitpick that I'm just kind of putting out there, but I really don't care about because even if it's unbelievable, I mean, I'm not trying to watch some grainy, crappily shot movie just because it's quote unquote believable to have a crappy camera. So I think that would have taken me out way more than them having a professionally shot found footage film. And lastly, I really loved the lack of soundtrack in here. It's realistic. If there's jump scares or whatever, there's not like music behind it unless there's music being played, in the film. So I really like that. And any other music is explained away by the fact that you're watching a finished, edited film by the little girl. So you're not really watching quote unquote found footage in that regard. And so I really liked what he did with the soundtrack there.
Yeah, hey, before you go, Mike, you made a great point, Brian. I watched YouTube. He's basically a film critic superstar on YouTube, Chris Stuckman, his review of this movie. And he made a great point, like the same points you made. This is a found footage film, so they don't have none of the found footage gimmicks of adding music or anything like that to this movie. They keep it real. Like any music you hear is because the kids are playing it, not because they went edited in to scare you or anything like that. So big shout out to Shyamalan for being realistic in this movie. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I agree with that, by the way. The lack of soundtrack makes this movie more realistic, and I enjoy it more because of it. It kind of keeps the vibe of the movie creepy the whole time without actually doing anything creepy, just like that still silence you get in the background a lot. Just makes me a little uneasy. So they do a good job with that. As far as everything going on here, look, I like this cast. I think the acting is really good. I think both, I know you guys already touched on it, but I didn't give my thoughts in the intro. I think the cast is good. I think Catherine Hahn is good as the mom, which kind of like what Brian said. The first time I saw this movie, that's what I go to as well. Like Step Brothers, she's in some other Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly stuff. Like that's where my mind goes, and I think she did a good job as the mom here.
Right.
So, but where me and Brian differ is the character of Tyler. I find him annoying, but he's comic relief for some of the film. So I'm willing to forgive that he kind of annoys me because he does provide some balance and laughter. I'm more laughing at him and not with him, so maybe that's why. But I actually like the character of Becca. And look, you're right about the dialogue. It's one of my nitpicks in the movie with the kids and the dialogue. I think it's on purpose, so I get what they're going for. She's a smart film cinephile student person or whatever, destined for USC Arts Academy or whatever. And then he's this, I don't know what he's supposed to be, but the rap is, it's very 1992. Again, I like this collection of scenes. It's that they do a good, and Nana and Pop Pop are great. Like that is probably my biggest takeaway from this whole movie is the acting by the two I'll save it. But Nana and Pop Pop are great. They're stars. And by the way, Pop Pop is jacked. Okay, like underneath all the layers of clothes, he's a built son of a bitch. And I'm not going to tell Nana to call me sometime, but I'm thinking about it. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. Take care.
I'm just saying. Nana, call me sometime. That you know what?
Oh,
there it is.
There it is. He's doing it.
There it is. And Catherine Hahn can call me too. Said what I said.
Well, you took the words out of my mouth with Catherine Hahn. Yeah, she can definitely call me sometime. And I want to give a hats off to her because what Nico said, or what was earlier said about when you think of her, you think of Step Brothers and all that. I think that brings a realness to her character in this movie because she seems like the kind of mother that's like, she's at her wit's end. She kind of needs a break. She still brings the comedic element to it with her laid back persona in the movie. And the fact that she was like, just the way she delivers that opening monologue, I thought was perfect. And it was based on her acting style, not just the character that's written for her. So I definitely want to give a shout out to Catherine Hahn for that. The rest of the film, or the rest of the opening scene, the documentary style automatically has me hooked. Like I dig the found footage style. I'm a big fan of it. If I had been on for the Blair Witch Project original review that you guys did, I would have given it the highest rating of anyone because I like found footage and the way
That's
they do it. I got you, Brian.
That's my boy.
The way that they do it is perfect because they don't add that extra score, that extra music that kind of, okay, this is post edit. No, this is authentic. This is like, I just found this. There's no music. Here's what I shot. Take it. And I enjoy that a lot. I don't want to shit on anyone this early into a review, but Ed Oxenbould, sorry, aka Tyler, I wasn't a big fan of him in the movie. Maybe it was the character that was written for him. Maybe it was the lisp. Maybe it was just everything, but he looked like a Beans from Even Stevens Reject, and it really took me out. But at the same time, I can also appreciate it because growing up, how many kids do we know that wanted to be this rapper that you look at them, you're like, you're not a rapper, give it up. So maybe it was authentic, but I didn't really, it just kind of, he was my least favorite character. Let's put it that way. And then
Dang.
I did like actually the dialogue for Becca because she seemed like a smart, articulate girl who wanted to be this artsy fartsy type. And the way that she used this dialogue and this vocabulary that she had, I actually really enjoyed that because it adds some. Listen, I've got cousins that are brilliant minds that actively try to use these, 50-cent words in their everyday vocabulary. And I'm like, come on, you don't really talk like that. And that's what she reminded me of. She reminded me of my real life family that are well educated and are very articulate, that just want to portray themselves that way. So it was believable to me because of my life experiences. But Beans, I'm sorry, Tyler took me out of it just a little bit.
I feel the big MFTK vibes going on. Pop checks on the kids at bedtime, 9:30. Becca wants more cookies, but it's past 9:30. She's reviewing their footage. Tyler flexes on us real quick in her video. Becca goes after cookies, but sees Nana sleepwalking and projectile vomiting. Tuesday morning. Tyler shows Nana the computer and how it works. Becca asks Pop about Nana as he does some farm work. He says it's just a stomach bug. Tyler and Becca play hide and seek under the porch. They're having a blast. Then we see Nana gallop at Becca. I wrote it's creepy AF. Now Nana pursues Tyler. I'm going to get you, Becca, as she chases her one last time. Nana laughs as they get from under the porch. Chicken pot pie for dinner as she walks up the steps with her ass exposed. And then Tyler says, what the hell was that? Knock at the door, and it's a doctor from the hospital. Just there to check on them, but Becca says they just left for a walk. Tyler is going to investigate the shed. He says, is it dead bodies? He goes in after the coast is clear. Smells like ass in here, he says. He, he finds giant piles of dirty diapers. He runs out of the shed and falls on the snow, and Nana greets him there and tells him Pop Pop is incontinent. Nana asks Tyler, are we okay? Is everything good? Pop Pop takes him to town. They play a card game. Now they visit their mom's high school. Pop Pop says someone is staring at them and then attacks the guy across the street out of nowhere. He says he's sorry and they leave. And then Tyler and Becca just say, they just talk about how freaky that's that experience was. Go ahead, Brian.
I actually I love Tyler, and
Same.
that's a little candy for the ladies scene with him flexing. Man, I thought that was funny as hell. But this reminded me a lot of Signs, and I'll say that a couple of times I think in this review. But it reminds me of it, and where it's stuff that you really don't pay much attention to. Like the germaphobe thing that really comes into play later. A lot like the whole water, maybe not quite as much, but like the water and the swing away things and it's Signs. It's definitely like it felt a little bit of a callback to that movie, and this really starts giving you that tension with that first night, and Nana throwing up was creepy as hell. And then the hide and seek game under the porch, all in broad daylight, mind you, which I usually have a problem with, but the fact that it's very effective here is another example where, I don't think that it would have worked as much if it's not found footage. The shed, absolutely disgusting. They did a really good job of making you feel that. I mean, if it makes me grossed out to like even just be like, I felt that. So I felt that was very well done. And this film, it's very good at not giving away what's going on. It has me intrigued at this point, and it's like what Dustin said earlier. It's like there's something coming because as an audience member that you're watching an M. Night Shyamalan film. So you're waiting, but nothing stands out. Like nothing isn't explained within the context of the movie. So you kind of like a lot of his other movies, I'll go back to Signs again. You find yourself almost doubting and questioning yourself as an audience member. And I think that's freaking brilliant writing.
Okay, so first of all, 9:30 bedtime. Get the fuck out of here. Not listening to that at all. So look, you're right, Brian. And my antenna goes up the minute I see Nana puking, and I don't even mean from a movie watching standpoint. I just meant if I'm in that house and that old lady projectile vomits, I'm getting the fuck out. I've seen The Exorcist. I don't care where I'm going. I know I'm in the middle of nowhere, PA, but I am getting the fuck out of there. But as far as me watching the movie, you're right. They do a good job letting you know something's going on without giving away what's going on. And I think that's really what a lot of these scenes do. The hide and seek is shot so well. And you're right. The found footage, the shakiness of the camera stuff, all that works really well in the daylight. And I think the fact that they're in the, snow and stuff like that, I think really helps some of this stuff. Him finding the diapers, you're right. It's a gross ass scene, and it takes, again, a lot to gross me out. But you kind of like put yourself in that case, and it's just fucking gross, man. And you're not, and again, a lot of the stuff is kind of logical. You can chalk it up to people just, getting old. She got overnight sick, like he's crapping himself. Like a lot of this stuff could just kind of be excused away by age, like they tried to do in the movie. So again, there's no big red herring or anything like that either, where you're like, you think it might be this, but it's really not that. So I really love these scenes. I think they do a good job of building anticipation for, a twist is coming. Like you said, it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie, but these scenes do a really good job of not giving away the twist, and Dead Meat kind of talked about it when him and Chelsea reviewed this movie, where I kind of wish the twist was the grandparents were just fucking with them this whole time. That would have honestly made me fucking giggle. I know the twist that comes is better to me, but that would have really made me laugh. Like, just fucking with you. We're old and we're smart. I would have liked that. But nope, I love this set of scenes. And again, I would have gotten the fuck out of that house way before they did. I don't care what age I was.
Well, you talk about that. Like Shyamalan cut this movie. He cut it into two. He cut one that was completely comedy and one that was completely horror, and then ended up with something in between. So shit, that might have been what they did in the comedy. Just had it be a fucking, hey, we're fucking with you.
Would love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said it. You know, the thing about M. Night Shyamalan movies, like, you know, there's going to be a twist. I like how they use the 9:30 p.m. threshold as kind of like, okay, this is when shit's going to get weird, but you still don't at this point know, well, what's weird? What's going on? But I like how, you know, when she walks out and Nana's puking her guts out, it's kind of like, okay, something's fucked up with the grandparents. I don't know what it is yet. I like all that. Now, the scene under the house, that was creepy as fuck. Like, imagine you're just under the house playing tag or playing hide and seek with your brother or whatever, and then you hear this creepy ass, I'm gonna get you. Like, that's creepy as fuck. And so the fact that it was Nana, like, Nana just pops out like, dinner will be ready in a minute. That's creepy. I really like how I like how that was written, because it sets the tone for, I'm so confused with this household. I kind of want to go home. I wasn't even in Pennsylvania at the time, but I wanted to come back to Tennessee. Like, it was fucked up the way they wrote that. And I really enjoyed it. Now, the way that Tyler, for everything that I said about Tyler that was disparaging in the last two scenes, Tyler in these two scenes was perfect. The way that he cussed was like a natural, 13-year-old kid just, oh, what the fuck is this? It smells like ass in here. When he's in the shed and he found the pins that were all shit stained. I think that was perfect writing as far as the script and the dialogue and the execution, because put yourself in that situation as the 13-year-old kid. You find a bunch of adult diapers that are just defecated upon. Yeah, you're gonna be like, it smells like ass in here. I thought that was brilliant, because they could have overdone it. They could have undersold it. And I thought they did it well. And that scene was disgusting. And it made me know that I'm going to hate whatever the twist is. Because like you said, there's the M. Night Shyamalan twist coming. But the shit-stained diapers, I'm going to hate it. I hated the rest of it from here.
All right, the two kids, they're in bed chilling. Then they hear the scratching noises outside of their bedroom door. They open the door hesitantly and see Nana scratching the walls, and she's butt naked. Wednesday morning, Pop tells Becca she has sundowning and is triggered by nightfall. Rule. Here's a new rule. Don't come out of your room after 9:30. Pop is getting dressed for a costume party, but Becca says he must have something confused. Nana tells him that they made biscuits, but she got batter on the computer and tried to clean it off with cleaner. Becca tells Tyler about sundowning, but the only thing messed up on the computer is just the camera, conveniently. Another Skype call with Mom. Tyler is quiet, but tells Mom grandparents are acting weird. She just tells them that they're old. Becca and Nana wash dishes, and she asks if she can ask her about her mom. And this is that iconic line from this movie, and it was in the trailer. This is the creepiest part of the movie that was in the trailer. Would you mind getting inside the oven to clean it? All the way in, Nana says. She gets dressed up for Becca's interview. She asks her questions like where she met Pop, then asks what happened when Mom left. Nana shakes violently and says no more questions. Tyler sets up a hidden camera to see what Nana is doing downstairs, but Becca puts a stop to it. All right, go ahead, Brian. That's what I have for the next two.
Yeah, so the nail scratching scene, I think Ed Oxenbould plays so well as he keeps like repeating over and over that he's opening the door now, Becca. He's opening the door now, Becca. Like, that reminded me a lot of my son, who's about that age and plays like scared tough guy about the same exact way. So and I really could see that in him. So I know that's realistic acting, and hats off to Ed for that performance, I think. By the way, fan of the show, Real Matt Sears on Twitter, I know is one of them that has said this. But if you have a fear of old, naked people, avoid this movie. Or, you know what? Better yet, go watch it, I guess. I don't know. But that was, it reminded me a lot of it in that regard. Again, they do a good job, I think, of explaining the whole weird activity with the sundowning, which, by the way, was the original title for this movie. But it does a good idea of explaining that as just old people activity. They do a really good job of making you, again, as an audience member, question your own thoughts during this movie. But then immediately, like hitting you with shit, like with the tension that they give you, like the Hansel and Gretel play with her getting in the oven and that famous line, it hits you with that tension, just boom, right after you're already questioning yourself. What's fucked up for this movie? What's fucked up about this movie for me is that Nana reminds me of my grandma. Not the fact that she's crazy. Not the fact she's crazy and she doesn't run around naked or anything like that and scratching up shit. But like when she's just normal.
Like, wait a minute, Brian. What the
Now, wait just a minute here.
I'm trying to explain it. I should have started out with this part, but like when she's just normal, old, weird, sweet Nana during the day, she reminds me, even like looking a little bit like my grandma. So it gets super weird for me on that level. So the whole fact that it's like, they're already playing with like the awkwardness of like the grandkids and the stuff that's happening with your grandparents. That kind of, I took that on a little different level, being that she even reminded me of her. It did kind of piss me off that he stopped Tyler from setting up the camera, but I do understand it from like a plot perspective. It's like you're trying to be smarter than the audience, and you're like trying to answer the questions they know, that you're going to ask as an audience member. Like when you say, don't go out there, and they go out there, but they give a good reason as why they have to go out there. You see what I'm saying? See what I did there? But you see what I'm saying? Like, so I kind of like that in films where they know you're going to hit them with that like horror movie trope question. So the writers like try to answer it before you go there. That's the kind of the way I took that. And I like it when they do that stuff in movies.
Don't go out there.com.
Oh yeah. So, oh man, where do I begin? So, I think that Nana is just so much more creepy than Pop Pop at this point, and I know that's probably intended, to kind of make you feel. And again, not to just like harken back to everything that Dead Meat and them say, because this is our show, but they made a good point. Like I think that's intentional for what comes later with Pop Pop, where you feel a little bit safer with him on the screen than you do Nana. Again, this is, the line about, can you clean the oven, dear? And all that stuff that's in the trailer. And by the way, that's the trailer. The minute I saw that first trailer, I was in another movie and I saw that and I'm like, I have to see this fucking movie now. Like, this looks great. And then I remember seeing that it was directed by M. Night Shyamalan. I'm thinking, okay, we're getting some crazy ass twist. Hopefully it doesn't suck. And it didn't disappoint. But anyway, the costume party scene makes you feel. So to me, it was, his tone and the demeanor starts to change a little bit from old man with memory issues and maybe some dementia to a little more aggressive, a little more confrontational, even in the scene where he's going to the costume party. So something is up there. And again, as much as I dislike the character of Tyler, him pointing all this stuff out, it's done in a way that I think is good because, again, you can still dismiss some of this away as old people being old people if you really wanted to. Now, clearly he's saying, hey, all this is kind of starting to add up. Why did the cake batter or whatever land directly on the computer camera? That makes no fucking sense. And That's logical. Like, I would probably think the same thing. And so, again, I think the acting by the woman who plays Nana, name is slipping me, is just really good in the scene where she's being interviewed and she shakes and all that stuff. I just think that's awesome. And sundowning is a real fucking thing, which I didn't know about till after I saw this movie. So that's fun. I mean, not fun, but I mean, it's, hey, something I did not know existed. That's a real mental disorder. So that's something I didn't know. But again, so far, so good, man. Like there is a couple things that happen in the next set of scenes that kind of drags a little bit. But up to this point, I'm in. Like, I'm all in. I have to know what is so wrong with these two grandparents. It can't just be that they're old fucks. I mean, that sounds really mean and dismissive, but at this point, they're just two old fucks. And I want to know what more is going on here. And I think the way it's being shot through the lens of Becca is something that I really like. Like I kind of touched on it earlier, but that like you're Becca almost when you're behind the camera. Like it's like really, I like that first person, third person, whatever the correct terminology is there. I like that experience, and so far so good.
Yeah. So my thing is like I really enjoy the sundowning explanation from Pop Pop because I feel like it's genuine. He explains it in a way that he's a little bit heartbroken by it because it's his wife. And at this point in the movie, you don't know what the hell's going on. So you're like, this is sad as hell that he's having to tell his grandkids that Nana's fucked up. And I really like the way that was delivered. Now, from the rest of it, I kind of feel like the biscuit batter computer angle was undersold. Like the payoff wasn't there for me. She could have, I don't know, the further we get in, the mom can still see the camera. It's just not great quality. I feel like that could have been played up a little bit more. I wish that if Nana was going to fuck up that camera because she didn't want them to know what's going on, I wish she would have fucked up that camera. Like I feel like that was a little undersold. The same thing with the oven explanation. Climb in there, get all the way in there, and then even later in the film, we get a scene where she wants Becca to get all the way in the oven and clean the back of it, and she closes the lid, but we still don't get that full payoff. She opened it back up, and that's a spoiler. We're jumping ahead, but at this point, I'm thinking, okay, later in the movie, she's going to try to cook this girl, and we don't really get that, and so I feel like that was kind of undersold, but it is what it is. And then I do like the way that Tyler was like, let's set up the camera, let's record it, but I don't like the way that Becca was like, no, we can't record them because of film integrity or artistic integrity or whatever she called it in the film. No. From my perspective as a horror film, I want them to be all about it. I want them to record Nana in the nighttime to where she's walking around sundowning and just acting an ass. I want to see that. So it may have been more realistic that she was trying to stifle his idea, but from a movie watching experience, it might have been better had she went along with his idea. So this is a mixed bag of scenes. It is what it is. I think that it could have been better, but it wasn't terrible. I think they left a lot undone here.
Yeah, I actually think that it's kind of cool that it's a little different because it gives you blue balls twice, wanting her to maybe try to get cooked in the oven, and that's classic M. Night Shyamalan, just kind of trying to make you look here and over here and over here. It's like the Dennis Rodman clip: here, boom, here, over here, over here.
I can see that. Okay.
All right, it's 10:16 p.m. and they hear some thudding noises out of their door. Tyler opens the door and they see Nana run back and forth past their room. And then we see her, she starts to crawl towards their room really fast, like underneath the porch. But they slam the door before she gets in there. Thursday morning, all four of them go on a hike outside. Tyler does his Nana running impression and she catches him doing it. They walk up on Nana just staring into the well. Becca interviews Tyler now. She asks about their dad. He tells the story of his football moment. 8 years old. He's free safety. I flip my page. He completely whiffs on the tackle. He just freezes. And he says at the end, Dad walked off the field and he wasn't angry. And Becca questions if Tyler thought that's why Dad left. The two go back to the well and only find water. Now she is being interviewed by Tyler. He asks why doesn't she look at herself in the mirror, then comments her sweater is inside out. It doesn't feel so good, does it? He asks her. He says, you think you're worthless, don't you? And now we see Becca later on. Becca cries into the camera. Dad, he gave me a card when he left. Tyler tells Becca they're hiding something in the basement, and he asks to set up the camera. Go ahead, Brian. That's the next two scenes I got, brother.
Okay, so this group of scenes, and Mike kind of touched on it a little bit just a minute ago, but to me, like these two scenes are the most disappointing. And let me explain why. So like Nana running by the door, it didn't get me personally, but running towards the door, crawling, I was actually more disappointed because I think that scene could have been done a little better or, at least differently, because as we've seen that in so many movies, like hell, even It Chapter 2 one, or, of course, The Ring or The Grudge, like it just didn't have the intended effect, I think. And we've seen it done better in those movies so well over the years. And this is the last thing I even have written down about this is because like a lot of these interview scenes to me like really slow the pacing down. And I realize it's a buildup, and I understand how important it is for the finale with Tyler, especially freezing up. And, it's almost like a calm before the storm of the third act. But I feel like that these character building scenes like this, give us this backstory and help us to care about these two kids. This all should have been done, I think, at the beginning and not here. I mean, they're good scenes, so I don't think they should have been cut by any means. And the kids' acting is great. It's fantastic. I can't say enough, like I said earlier, about their acting in them. But I just feel like that these scenes are out of place, and it slows the whole pacing down. Like, we need to just be, we got some tension. We got them slowly kind of almost breaking down into madness a little bit, even though they're not. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's giving you a little bit gradually at a time. And then it's just like, boom, it's drugged to a halt with these two scenes because you got to get this backstory and this, which, like I said, all that stuff I think should have been done at the beginning. And I don't think that the audience would have forgotten it by the end of this movie, because I don't think it's long enough for you to have forgotten. And even if you did, your second or third watching, you'd have gotten it. And I think it would have been just fine.
Hey, Mike, before you go, I just want to touch on that. I also listened to the Dead Meat podcast, Mike, and James was kind of in the same boat as you, Brian, about the interviews being kind of slowing it down.
Yeah.
Personally, I like them where they are because it gives the characters it gives them more depth, because they're there. The kids are there to help their mom find peace and closure with the parents. You know what I'm saying? Get the elixir. But you kind of you get to go into the mindset of a young teenager and a young boy who are actually dealing with their emotional pain from their dad leaving. And I personally, I mean, my parents are divorced. I'm not scarred by it, but I understand where they're coming from, especially so you see Becca cry, and you see Tyler, when he's interviewing, he's like, it doesn't feel so good, does it? It hurts, if you kind of, you feel for the kids. And I mean, I'm not, debating how you feel or nothing. I'm just saying I like that part personally.
No, I completely agree with you. I think that this movie has to have these scenes. Like, you need them. I completely agree with you. I just don't like where they're at. I just think they should have been at the beginning of the movie instead of here.
I'm with you on that. But I'm fine with where it's at, because I personally think that, they're going for their mom, but the more we watch, they're actually going for themselves too, kind of in a way. But I don't have a problem with where it's at. But go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's great. Hey, I mean, just to throw my 2 cents in, because that's really all I have on this set of scenes, is exactly what you guys just talked about. I like the scenes. I think they add character development and depth, but
yes,
and I think they're needed. I agree with Brian, though. I would have maybe slanted them more towards the front, maybe before we get to Nana and Pop-Pops, or even a little bit after, why things are still kind of slow and moving along a little bit. At this point, we've already seen some really crazy shit. We've seen a room full of diapers and Nana throwing up and all that. And I know you need to come down before this big come up. But again, I'm fine with the dialogue in the scenes. I'm fine with, the acting. I think all of that is great as far as adding depth to these two, young people that are clearly going through some serious stuff. I have no issue with that. I think it makes them relatable. I like all that. I just would have probably put it in a different place, because at this point we're on the come up. We're on a roller coaster, and I just don't see the point of taking a dip there. But again, that's kind of a nitpick, because it's not that I don't like the scenes. They don't do anything for me where they're placed. I kind of wish that, I almost wish that like we could have gotten like and this is only on this last watch that I thought this, with the basement. I almost wish that we could have got like at least one good false basement run in, to where we almost see something earlier in the movie, and Pop kind of puts the kibosh on that. I feel like it would have made the basement a little more important as it comes later. But I know what they're doing there, so it's fine. But that was just a small nitpick. But that's really all I have on these scenes. Is I think they're well acted and well shot and stuff, but I would have probably put them somewhere else.
So my perspective actually differs, because I think if you put these scenes anywhere else, it falls into the stereotypical horror movie trope, right? So putting them here makes it feel more authentic as far as found footage. And what I mean by that is, as someone who's 32 years old, whose parents divorced when I was freshman going into my sophomore year of high school, so 14, 15 years old, I know that these waves of emotions and these waves of what if and these waves of what happened with my parents' marriage, they hit you whenever you least expect it. It's not convenient for you. So the fact that they filmed these right here and they put these in the film right here, to me, feels more authentic because that's how my life operates. What I mean by that is they're with their grandparents and they're filming blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, what happened with mom and dad? And that feels real to me because that's how my brain seems to operate. I will be operating at a normal pace. And then all of a sudden, how could I have fixed my parents' marriage? And that's what I feel like Tyler was doing here when they're talking about that. He's like, I missed the tackle, blah, blah, blah. I've been there, bro. Like, this to me is the most authentic part of the movie because as someone that comes from a broken home whose parents' marriage didn't work out, you always blame yourself, in my experience. No one else. I'm speaking for myself. I blame myself. What could I have done different? And the fact that he looked back on this football game, like, had I done this, blah, blah. Like, this is probably my favorite scene in the movie just because of the authenticity. And I can actually really respect that. And I think that he acted his ass off. He delivered it perfectly, as did Becca. As when he turned the camera around her and be like, why don't you look at yourself in the mirror? Like, that shit hurted. That shit hurted. Like, that's real shit right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's asking her, you don't value yourself because our parents' marriage failed. And I can respect, like, to me, this sets up the finale even more because by this point, when you're watching that, if you can relate, if you can't relate, then okay, I get it. But if you can relate at all to what either of these kids are feeling, then you're vulnerable right here. And that's what you need for a finality of a movie is vulnerability. And the fact that you're watching this and you're like, he just tore her down, but she just kind of tore him down. So now you're both sad together and not expecting what's going to happen in the next two scenes. This is a perfect, this is like when you're playing volleyball and you got a set and a spike. This is the set right here for the spike of the finale. I think this was a brilliantly done penultimate scenes for the movie.
I could see that. I can see definitely where you and Nico are coming from for sure, especially with the whole character development part of the kids realizing it later in the movie. So, I mean, I can see that for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dustin. I wouldn't want to see their emotional breakdown right at the beginning.
Boom.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because like, how often do we watch movies and then at the first 5 to 10 minutes of the movie, we get that this person's broken, this person's been through a hard time, blah, blah, blah. This movie kind of let us along this. We're what, 70 minutes into the movie at this point, and we don't really know what's going on with these kids.
Yeah.
We know that the father's not there, but we don't really know, so there's no connectivity. That's why that's one of my favorite parts about this movie is how we see these kids, they're the main characters, but we don't really have that connectivity. We don't really relate to them until it's almost time for us to feel their pain. And I respect that.
Oh, yeah. All right. Stacy, a former patient, she stops by the house and she brings a cobbler. She was supposed to get a visit on Saturday, but the grandparents never showed up. Tyler gets scared by Becca she jumps out of the closet at him. And Becca finds Nana in her rocking chair laughing real creepily, rocking back and forth. She stops when Becca touches her on the shoulder. Then she starts to smother herself with her shawl, and then Becca stops her. She runs to the barn after Pop Pop, and he has a gun in his mouth. I'm just cleaning it. She tells Tyler they're putting the camera out tonight. Nana and Pop Pop ask if they're okay as they go to bed. Tyler complains about how nasty his hands are because he touched the toilet and couldn't find any tissues. Becca finds him some and cleans them up. Downstairs, we see Nana walking, slamming doors. And then we get a really, really effective jump scare as she grabs the camera and she roars at it. She carries it upstairs. She carries it and she grabs a knife. Then she goes upstairs and puts the camera down and she goes to the kid's room and tries to open the door. Friday morning. The kids watch the tape. Becca says we're ending this trip tonight and avoid them at all costs. Now they're outside playing, trying to look normal. She asks Pop Pop about an interview. He talks about his time at the factory and says he looks, really sad because it's their last day with their grandkids. She says Mom can't get over what happened. Tyler says Grandma is Michael Myers that night. They see Stacy outside talking to Nana and Pop Pop. Becca cleans the camera up and Tyler mentions they never saw Stacy leave. Nana agrees to an interview. She tells of her dream of creatures in a pond. When people go underwater, they go into a deep sleep. She says it's a made-up story. Becca asks her about her mom. Nana starts to hit herself. Then Becca changes the subject. And she brings up her mother's story, but in a hypothetical way. Nana says she doesn't like the story, but says that she would forgive her. The two rewatch the interview, then go back outside to play. They get back in and Skype with Mom. Becca says, "Come get us now. Something is wrong with Nana and Pop Pop." They show their mom their grandparents outside, and Mom tells them to listen. And this is the plot twist of the movie. Those aren't your grandparents. You've been staying with those people the whole time? She calls the police, but no answer. She gets in the car and heads there. Pop says, "Let's play board games tonight." And Nana asks Becca if she'll help clean up again. And the next two scenes I have is the ending. Brian, tell me what you thought when you saw that plot twist, brother.
I love the plot twist personally.
Hey, Brian, I get chill bumps even though I've seen the movie 10 times. I get chill bumps every time. Heck, I even got chill bumps for a second when I read that those aren't your grandparents. Like, to me, that's such a good plot twist.
Catherine Hahn does such a great job delivering that line. I love it. It's just so simple, like nothing dramatic or anything. Sorry, go ahead, Brian.
No, and you even think that that's not the twist because Shyamalan hits you with it's kind of the deflection with you get with the aliens. At first, you're like, wait a minute, are they fucking aliens at first? And then, it's still tied in with the psych patients, but I really like how he steers you different ways because he knows, you're waiting for the twist. And I love that. Obviously, this is where everything kind of starts to really take a dark turn, with the whole gun and Pop, Nana, and the handkerchief thing. And if you had any doubts, this is where they kind of start to go away. And okay, there's definitely some fucked up shit going on here. Also, you get the kind of not so subtle reminder about Tyler and his germophobia, which is another, I think, kind of alternate thing because I thought the whole time anyway that it was going to really come back to play, especially that they brought it up again, in classic, M. Night Shyamalan, like water callback from The Signs, in classic his fashion. I thought for sure that was coming back, and it really didn't come back into play as much as I thought. You definitely get Paranormal Activity vibes, with the whole grandma and the camera thing, but again, I don't think it was effective as Paranormal Activity, and it's a little different, I guess, in my mind when it's, I guess it's just what maybe bothers you, but it's a little different when it's a demon versus an old person kind of doing the thing. But having her grab the knife and then it like cuts to you being in the room, I honestly think it would have been a little bit more effective had you just kind of like stayed with the grandma's camera there. I don't know, just something I was thinking about while I was watching it. Plus, once you know the twist, there's so much damn tension the second time she gets in the oven, and especially after knowing that twist.
Yes.
A little nitpick though. I think the kids make some dumbass decisions, I think, moving forward here. And this is one of them where I think normal kids at this point would have either like run completely, just, hey, let's take off, let's get out of here, run to maybe the police station or whatever, or definitely armed themselves with something, with a hammer, with a knife, all the stuff that's around them. They're not really being held hostage. So I think that's something that I know doesn't really further your story, and you need that to not happen. But I think kind of in a real life situation that would have happened, I think, at that point. And lastly, look, this is one of, M. Night's films where like, and I personally think that this about like all those movies that I've seen. But even after you know the twist, you can now go back and rewatch it, and you kind of pick up on more stuff and all these things he's laid out, and he's got like very good MacGuffins that still work even when you know what's going on. It's like, like I said, it's like some of his older films where you're still entertained even when you know what's going on. Sometimes even more so. And I think because you're not so focused on what's the twist, you're actually paying attention to more stuff that he's laid out for you. And I think that's a testament to it being just a really good story. And if you still want to go see it, even when you know what's going to happen in a movie with a twist like this, I think that speaks very highly to how good of a good story and a very good film it is.
Yeah, something you mentioned. Once you know the twist and you go back for a rewatch, the guy that works at the mental hospital or whatever stopping by, not the grandparents just not being there by accident, that makes more sense. Stacy stopping by with the cobbler, all that makes it inherently more creepy to me. Like upon a rewatch, you're like, oh god, that these poor people. Because apparently, these were good. The real grandparents are good people, and going into a rewatch, these people are fucking out there. So all I really have on these scenes, and look, I like a lot of the stuff in the rocking chair and popping the gun, and again, we're picking up the tension, we're picking up the creepy factor of these two old people. But I'll say it again, I love this twist. I think this twist is so well done. It's the minute that Catherine Hahn says you've been staying with those people all this time, that fucking gets me every time. Nico, when you read it, I had a little bit of a chill, man, because if you can put yourself in that place where we've been staying with strangers for a fucking week and shit diapers and all this other, Nana's ass and everything else that happens, like this is not okay, man. Like, and I just love that part. And the board games scene and all that is so well done, and it's about to get even crazier. But we know the twist now, so their interaction with Nana and Pop are so much more intensified. Like my creepy level has gone up, and I'm all in. I want to find out what the hell happens. And Brian makes a good point. These kids do make some dumbass decisions, like deciding to interview them. That was dumb. Like what are we doing? Like, I would have just stayed clear until my mom got there, like that. But again, I kind of get what they're trying to do. It's just not something I would have done, I guess. But again, job well done on this collection of scenes, man. Like, and going back to the last set, I kind of see why that's there as the come down, the emotional come down to the big, scary movie pickup that happens here. And you get the plot twist, which again, going into an M. Night Shyamalan movie, you're going to get one. And I think this one pays off so good to me. It is not what I saw coming the first time I watched it. Not even close to what I thought. I don't know what I thought, but it certainly wasn't Staying with Strangers.
Yeah, so when I first watched this movie, like I said, it was just a couple of days ago. I'm thinking, where's the aliens, right? So, but my thing is, okay, we know something's fucked up with the grandparents because shit's too normal. They're a little weird, but we don't really know what it is. And then when you see Nana rocking, facing the wall, when they said she's watching TV and she's just laughing her ass off, facing a wall, okay, something's wrong with her. But we heard earlier she's sundowning, blah, blah, blah. And then when Tyler walks in, or it may have been Becca that walked into the barn and he's got the gun in his mouth, they're like, okay, these two people are fucked up. What's going on with them, though? So we know what the swerve is going to be. It involves the grandparents, but we don't know. And that's the brilliance of M. Night Shyamalan to me. I think he's a great writer. Yeah. I think he's a great writer. I may not agree with all of his screenplay decisions as far as the script goes, because some things seemed disingenuous and some things seemed forced. Yeah. But overall, I think he's a great writer. He knows how to build suspense, and then confuse the hell out of you and shock you with the twist. He's one of the best, in my opinion. My personal opinion. I love M. Night Shyamalan. So when we're watching this and we see that the grandparents are going to be involved in the twist somehow, and we don't really know, I have trade-offs as far as the actual twist. First of all, I like the fact that they built it to where, okay, these people, they killed the actual grandparents. They're down in that like trash compactor apartment of the basement. Like, okay, that's fine. That's fine. They killed they killed the real grandparents. They're down there. The hammer's down there. I like the fact that she found the hammer, blah, blah, blah. But however, I have to say that despite how involved Catherine Hahn seemed to be up until this point, I personally, from my personal experience, have a hard time believing that, you know, you're going to let your kids be at your grandparents' quote unquote, your parents' house for a week, and you're just with video chat capability, and you're just now seeing what they look like, regardless of what your past relationship would have been like. Because it was kind of, you know, the groundwork was laid. She didn't really fuck with her parents, and I understand that. But I have a hard time believing that in the whole time that they've been there, she wouldn't have been like, let me see them. And so by the time they turned the camera, be like, there they are, they're outside, they're acting weird. The twist to me is very well done, but from a logistical standpoint, she should have been like, who were these assholes 3 or 4 days earlier, in my opinion. But that being said, it was still very well done. It was creepy as hell. From that point on, this movie got eerie. The fact that Nana was wanting her to get in the back of the oven, which the first time she said that, I was like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. I don't know what's going on with Nana, but don't get in the back of the oven. And now that you know that's not really Nana, and she's saying, get in the back of the oven, I'm saying, no, don't do it. And then the fact that she closed the oven door, if I'm Tyler and I'm this street rapper from the suburbs, I'm busting gas on other asses. No, you're not going to put my sister in the oven. You know, I'm going to pull some of the hardest suburban raps you ever heard.
Ho.
So, Ho, Katy Perry, Taylor Swift. Anyway, I didn't really, you know, just that standpoint of how she willingly climbed all the way in the oven, despite the fact that she knew that's not her Nana. And the fact that Tyler let her climb all the way in the oven and then let Nana close the door, knowing that's not really Nana. That, to me, that's a little suspect. But at the same time, you also have to realize these kids are, what, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old at best. So maybe that gullibility factor is there because as a adolescent, I think that I speak for everyone saying that I made some subpar decisions. So maybe they were acting right. I don't know. But to me, I probably wouldn't have done that. But in hindsight, it's 2020, right? So the thing, and like you said, Mike, when you watch this movie back, the hints are there. And that's the brilliant thing about M. Night Shyamalan movies.
Absolutely.
He'll always tell you what's up. But until you understand it fully, he's not going to tell you the grand picture. And that's why I said just a few minutes ago, I think he's one of my favorite writers. He really is. I swear on everything. That man knows how to paint a grand scheme, a main picture without giving it all away in one scope. And I really like M. Night Shyamalan, the way that he did this. When you watch these last few scenes and then you rewatch it all back, it's beautiful, but it also is like, you son of a gun. So the writing's there, the acting is there. It's just, to me, the one thing that was lacking was the lack of execution from previous storylines. The oven thing, the sundown. Like, I feel like it could have been one of the kids should have died. If you want to be honest with you, the one thing that was missing was one of the kids dying. Because if that had happened, I would have been all in and I would have believed it a lot more.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I would have wanted to see that. But I did want to speak.
I probably wouldn't have wanted to see it, but I think that it would have driven home the credibility to the plot twist had they got away with killing at least one of them.
Yeah, I wanted to speak one more time to M. Night Shyamalan, and you talked about going back and rewatching it. I mean, also, this one I feel like he's very aware of the fact that a twist is coming, and I feel like in this one more than other ones, there was a lot more red herrings, like the well that really you thought was going to really have something to play into it, but it never did, and like the aliens, like at first, like you're like, oh shit, like I feel like that there was a lot more kind of him trying to steer you one way or the other. I think a lot more than other films that I can remember anyway. And you're right. And I think you're absolutely right, Dustin, when you're talking about the kids, especially, I think they painted themselves in a corner, like he wrote himself into a corner, because I think he made the kids overly smart, kind of like I talked about at the very beginning. Mm-hmm. And so if they're that smart, then these decisions don't really go with what they really should be doing, in my opinion, either. So, yeah, I completely agree with you there.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dustin. That's what I was talking about. The major plot hole is why in God's name would you send your kids off and not show them what their grandparents look like? Like,
I mean, well, in her defense, like she did tell that big story about her leaving, and she might have not ever had a picture ever again. She never went back.
But they had the profile on the website.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it just said that they contacted her via email. I mean, old people. My grandma's got an email, but I promise you couldn't go find a picture of her. So I mean, that's a little bit explainable.
No, what you said that they never had a picture ever again. But if you were to show me a picture of my grandparents, either one of the four from the past 30 years, I could age progression in my mind be like, okay, that's the same person. These people didn't look the same at all. So. Like when she picked the picture up down there in the basement, I was like, these motherfuckers ain't the same people. So, like that's bad parenting in my opinion.
Well, I mean, she even makes the comment that, oh, we even have the same eyes. Like she, in her mind, was already creating similarities between the two that obviously weren't there because they're really not related. I mean, and I mean, that's why I think that's the one thing that I can suspend belief a little bit, because, he did try to at least explain the fact of why the only thing that I don't get is that was it just via email? Because I felt like she had a phone conversation with the real parents at some point beforehand. And maybe I put together the phone conversation. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just strictly email, which is stupid. I mean, you need to have a phone conversation with it before you send your kids over there. But like the way that they talked about how excited the grandparents were and came to the psych facility excited, like, hey, my granddaughters and they're coming and blah, 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 and built up the whole thing, which is why the psych patients killed him in the first place and kind of wanted to take that over. Like, I felt like they had a phone conversation or some sort of thing was buried the hatchet, but yet later in the movie, she's like, how are they? Oh, never mind. I don't want to know. And I felt like if they would have buried the hatchet, she wouldn't have been like that. So that is a little bit of a plot point, even though I try to explain it away with the picture thing. I mean, there is some suspension of belief, I think.
But I mean, even if you think about it, it's 2015, this movie comes out. I mean, are you really going to send your kids who are this young on a train by themselves, not knowing who they're looking for? It kind of reminded me of like Child.
Oh no!
It kind of reminded me of Child's Play when Andy's just riding the train all around. It's like if Becca's not even old enough to drive, are we really going to send them out like that? Like, no way.
Oh, it's terrible parenting. There's no doubt about that. There's terrible parenting choices made.
All right, fellas, these are the last two scenes. Evening now. Becca and Nana are doing dishes. She asks Becca to help clean the oven again. She closes the door on her this time briefly, but reopens it after cleaning the top of the oven door. Pop breaks out the Yahtzee board, and Nana laughs creepily. Becca says she and Tyler are going outside for one last interview, but Pop Pop slams the door as they see Stacy, I won't say Stacy, they see a body hanging from the tree. Young versus old in Yahtzee. Becca gets technical about who made the game. Becca walks off to get a new battery for a camera. We hear Pop Pop poop his pants, and then Nana, she starts eating the cookies real rapidly and then yells Yahtzee into the camera. Hey, you can't say poop around here.
No, I don't know. That part to me is just, I laugh my ass off at that part. Go ahead.
No, I didn't. I laughed when I watched the movie, but just hearing Nico say, "Pop Pop pooped his pants," like
that's a lot of popping peas, fam. Popping his pants.
Hey, spaghetti death house.
Yes.
All right, Nana, she starts eating the cookies real fast, rapidly, real creepily, and then she rolls the dice and yells Yahtzee into the camera. Becky goes into the basement looking for real Nana and Pop Pop. He takes Nana to her room as she pretends to hang herself. Becca finds pics of her real Nana and Pop Pop in their uniforms. She then finds their bodies and a bloody hammer. Pop Pop shows up and tells Becca Nana put her kids in the bottom of the lake in suitcases. He chases her through the basement. Now we see Tyler. He's on the ground with like a hit mark on his head, and Pop Pop drags Becca upstairs and locks her in the room with Nana. Pop Pop pulls his pants off and takes off his diaper. Becky cries for help in the room. I never liked you, Pop Pop tells Tyler. We hear groans in the room. Becca walks around as Nana creeps behind her. Nana crawls under the bed. She teases Becca with growls and reaches over the side of the bed, grabbing on the comforter. Pop Pop grabs the diaper and shoves it in his face. You have a problem with germs, don't you? I think anybody would have a problem getting a shit diaper shoved in their face, though.
Damn, this scene is disgusting.
Yeah,
Nana rips the blanket off the bed. She crawls towards her under the sheets. Becca faces the mirror with the camera pointing at it. Nana slams her into it, breaking the mirror. Becca grabs a big piece of the glass and kills Nana on the bed after a struggle. Pop Pop, he spews some gibberish into the camera and sits it down on the counter. Then Becca breaks out the room and jumps on his back. He knocks her to the ground, and then Tyler, free safety, tackles him into the counter and yells football techniques and crushes his head over and over in the refrigerator door. And I love this part. He yells, any other crazy bitch-ass fucking people here? They run outside to see people. They run outside to see the police pull up, and their mom runs to them with hugs and kisses. Now it's back at their house. Becca interviews her mom now. Says she used to sing. The day she left her parents cursed her, and she hit her mother, and then her dad hit her. They were both shocked, and she refused their calls after them reaching out to her. Becca hugs her crying mother. She tells Becca not to hold on to anger and hugs her again. Then we get flashbacks of the dads, the dad with their kids when they were younger. And now we see T. Diamond Styles drop another hot rap as the end credits roll. That's the last two scenes I got. Go ahead, Brian. There's a lot there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I don't have a ton, though. I think, I'm laughing. It's a testament because, this third act of this film is so weird because it's like, how many times can you say you laugh your ass off and yet are truly suspense? Like you're feeling the suspense of the film, especially in the final act. And I think that this one really accomplishes that, which to me makes it a very unique movie in that regard. Like usually if you're laughing in a horror film, it's for the wrong reasons or it's just funny and not really scary. And I think that this kind of has both. Maybe not scary, but has the tension at least. That Yahtzee game and with Nana and Pop Pop shitting himself and that line with Tyler that you just said was he more bitch ass. That shit was funny. I legitimately laughed out loud on that stuff. But this is what I was talking about. Where there are some dumbass choices these kids are making now at this point. Especially Becca. Come on, you don't leave your brother up there alone with all this shit's going on. Plus, like I said, again, they should be arming themselves at this point with something. And honestly, I think that they could beat their asses, which to me is probably why they didn't do that because it's believable that they needed that tension, So, But I mean, why it works to build the tension here at the end, it's like, it's frustrating as hell to me as an audience member that they don't really do anything. And both of them just fucking like standing there. Like Tyler, I get it because of his freezing up story, which, by the way, Tyler getting that diaper shoved in his face made me want to throw the hell up. And I almost said that earlier, like when he was in the storage shed, and I said like how gross that was. Like these are the two scenes that like I really felt like fucking grossed out with that. Like that made me like, oh God. And you know, that's a testament to the good writing. You know, and thankfully, as far as they're arming themselves, thankfully Becca steps up with the scissors. But to me, like it's a little too damn late. Like they should have never gotten to that point. And I really liked how they kind of ended it with Tyler, you know, tackling them 2 or 3 times. I thought that was good. But all right, so the ending, I have a big. Well, let me back up. Whenever Pop pulls his pants off and then it cuts to like to Becca in the room, you're like stuck there for a while. In my mind, I'm not even really paying attention to what Becca's doing. I'm like, what the fuck is about to happen to Ty? Is he going to rape him? Like, what the fuck is he taking his pants off for?
Yeah,
like, you know,
very creepy.
So that's that definitely gives you it lets your mind like go wild right there. But anyway, to the ending, like I would have changed this. I think that I would have added to the story, honestly. Don't have them take the camera with them when they run outside and run to the mom and the police station. I think if you just like had the camera still just sitting there where it was, and you had the police and the mom bust in the house and have them off screen where all you're doing is just like watching a still frame, but you're listening to their interactions and you're listening to that. I think that would have been stronger, and I think it would have been more effective. Honestly, that's where it should have ended too. I mean, not the interview. I get it. I mean, and you had the music and everything, but I get it. You want to have the sentimental stuff and the showing the dad stuff and the forgiveness in there, which was nice, and I like that. But I would have ended the scene, or I would have ended the movie like I just said, like when they bust in the house and you can kind of hear the ending, and I think that's where I would have ended it right there.
Yeah, I agree with that. By the way, the ending kind of fell flat, and again, you get the emotional part of it, and I understand all that, but I agree with you on that. As far as this whole ending sequence, you are spot on, Brian. And we've disagreed a little bit in the last couple of weeks or whatever, but we're back to how things used to be around here, where we're neck and neck here, man. Like this stuff is fucking funny, but also scary if you can put yourself in that situation. Like, right. And it's gross, where the diaper over the face. And the first time I ever saw it, it was just because I was drunk in a movie theater, so that didn't go over so well. But again, just that, like this whole ending sequence, I think is done really well. I think Nana and Pop are fucking creepy here. I'm laughing, but I'm terrified. I'm also laughing because I'm terrified, and I think that really helps. Like I said, this movie's hilarious, but it's also scary. And this last couple, the last 15 minutes or so really hits that home. And again, I like the earlier scenes where I was talking about the football store, because it does play into the end, and I like that we get that closure of that story for him. And it's actually, again, laugh out loud funny when he's he's saying wrap up with the arms and all that stuff. As a football guy, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly how a nice perform tackle there, Tyler. Okay, buddy. But no, just a lot of good stuff here, a lot of scary stuff. Like you said, when Pop take his pants off, why the fuck are your pants off? Is this? Yeah. I say it every time. And again, I think I do agree with you. I probably would have done a little bit of a different ending, but it's kind of hard to complain because I did want to know what the hell happened the day the mom left. Like that question was still out there, so at least it was answered for us. I could have done without the last Two Diamond Styles rap, though. That was, I don't know, something about that. It's because I don't like Tyler, the character, I guess.
No way, it's great.
Hey, Mike. The only problem I think with the ending when the mom's telling the story is like, so you didn't talk to your parents for 15 years because your dad hit you after you hit the mom first?
Right.
It's like,
right.
It's like someone's being a little petty Crocker, but go ahead, Dustin.
Yeah. Petty Kruger for sure.
Yeah, a little Richard Petty, number 43 club. So the thing about it is like the Yahtzee scene, I think was perfectly written because you want to talk about tenacity and just I'm on the edge of my seat, like what's going to happen next. When they're playing Yahtzee, I was tense. I was drawn up. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't want it to happen because I know what should happen. And that was the Yahtzee scene to me because Becca was kind of antagonizing Pop Pop, and Tyler saying, "What are you?" You know, he was basically saying, "What are you doing? Just like go along with this." That's how I felt. Why are you telling him that it was a Milton Bradley or / Parker Brothers thing? Like, no, let him have this. We're trying to live, and that was that to me that added to it because that was that cocky teenager thing. Like, she knew she was right. She knew what she needed to do, but in order for them to live. But at the same time, her pride couldn't let her just let him make that error, and I appreciated that. I thought that was brilliant writing. Sorry. And then, as far as when they get further on, and Tyler's in the kitchen, he's knocked down. Pop Pop taking his pants off. What? The first time I watched this, like, oh goddamn! Like we about to see a fucking child rape going on. I don't want to see this. I'm turning it off.
Right.
And I kind of feel like that was undone. I don't want to see that happen. Don't get me wrong. But when the camera flashes back, his pants are back on. And so I feel like they could have done more to intensify that or leave it out. Either way is fine with me. But the way they did it was kind of misplaced for me in a way. As far as Tyler getting Pop, it was just kind of the same way. Like, I fuck with his football analogies and him saying wrap up, you gotta, drive through, blah, blah, blah. I like that terminology and everything he used, but I hate how the camera was placed. Maybe this is the sadistic side in me, but this is a horror movie podcast. I would like to see some gore right there. The way the camera was placed, if they would have placed it just, 18 inches to the left, we would have been able to see his head getting smashed by the refrigerator door, and I think that would have been more effective. The same thing with Becca's kill when Nana's attacking her in the bed and she smashes the mirror and she's got the shard of glass. I would have liked to see more. Like I said, maybe that's me being sadistic. But I would have liked to have seen something there because of all this. And I know that's not M. Night Shyamalan's style because I've seen his movies before. But I could have used a little bit more. They weren't bad. They were still effective. They were still positives in my mind. But I could have used more.
So, Dustin, you're saying you had a fever and the only cure.
God damn it.
Actually, Brian, what I'm saying is I could have used with M. Night Shyamalan writing 120 minutes of the movie and Rob Zombie writing the last 14. So anyway,
oh man, sorry,
tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. This movie's 134 minutes. No. This movie's 134 minutes. Tell me I'm wrong that if Rob Zombie wrote the last 14, you wouldn't have enjoyed it more because it would have got more gore.
I would not have enjoyed
just the last 14.
I was just trying to get more cowbell.
I'm just kidding. I like Rob.
All right, Mike, when I see you, square up. So anyway.
Hey, these fans are rated E, pal.
God.
No, the last thing that I'll say is I completely agree with what you said earlier. I wish the film would have ended right there. When the camera's in the room, either one of the rooms, the kitchen or the bedroom, and we see the killer, or we don't see it, but we hear it and we infer that the kill happened of Nana or Pop or Claire or whatever that crazy old coot's name was, the fake grandparents. We know that kill happened, but we don't actually see it. And then they leave the camera there, but we hear the sirens. That would have been a perfect ending. Yes. They run outside. Oh, Mom, I'm so glad to see you. blah 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 happened. I'm so much better for this. Blah blah blah. Instead, we get this bullshit ass rap scene with
Oh
not
man.
so Slim Shady in the room rapping like he's Bean/Ed, and it's not good. It's not good. He is not a good rapper. He tried to call himself, Tyler the Creator. That's who people say I sound like. No, Tyler the Creator is platinum. You, my friend, are Caucasian. There's no difference in there's no comparison. It was bad. That
No
last
way.
scene I could have done. I would have rather had the end credits just been like cold thrown to us, no explanation. Here's who was in the movie, but instead we get this whack ass rap scene with not so Slim Shady / Beans from Even Stevens. I didn't like it.
Very Beans
That
from
was
Even
the-
Stevens.
that
Haters.
was the
Bill.
worst ending.
No way. No way. I've got a fever, and the only cure is more Tyler raps, baby.
No.
I love it.
Let me
I'm
just
loving
tell
it.
you,
Give it to me.
Oh,
John Cena, the wrestler, is a significantly better rapper than Tyler.
facts. I will actually agree to that.
Before we move on to fun facts, I just wanted to touch on one thing. I was with you, Dust, on the other part, but I'm kind of glad we didn't get more gore. I thought it was really effective just when Becca stabbed her with the glass, and you saw like her blood like go into her mouth and on her face. I thought that was sufficient. Y'all ready to jump into fun facts? All right. Does anybody want to go first? I can. It doesn't matter.
You can.
All right, this is M. Night's lowest budgeted studio feature film. These are all from IMDb, and I got two funny YouTube comments that I love. Director M. Night Shyamalan used his fee from his science fiction adventure movie After Earth from 2013 to self-produce this film. In his own words, this was an attempt to regain artistic control after his recent movies had been denied final cut and were even taken away from him in post-production. This is M. Night's first film since The Village to not receive Razzie nominations for Worst Picture, Worst Director, or Worst Screenplay. This is the second film from M. Night featuring a poster depicting various rules. The first one was The Village in 2004. And this is M. Night does not make his customary cameo in this movie. This is the one I think is pretty cool. And Tyler's rap at the end, he says that he survived like Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon movies. In this movie, Tyler kills Pop Pop by repeatedly slamming his head with the refrigerator door. Mel Gibson's character killed a bad guy the same way in Lethal Weapon 2, 1989, except Gibson's character used a car door instead of a refrigerator door. And these are the two funny comments I saw on YouTube. I just wanted to share. This one guy says, "Man, I wish my Skype had connection that good." And this is just this isn't really
Facts.
funny
We
one.
can attest to that on this show.
No doubt.
Yeah, for real. This one is just something I really like. Would you mind getting inside the oven to clean it? That may be just the greatest line from any horror movie ever. And I got the budget too, but I'm sure Mike will touch on that. Anybody else got fun facts?
I have the budget and the gross and all that, but if somebody else has
Yeah.
anything, go first.
No, Nico, you said mine, so go ahead.
Yeah,
Okay.
same.
So the visit grossed over 65.2 million in the United States, and it grossed over 98.4 million worldwide against a $5 million budget. So
That's awesome.
low ass budget, high ass profit. Well done, M. Night Shyamalan. Nice bounce back. Hey, he took a lot of L's. In this movie, he bounced back.
Big Sean style.
Mm-hmm.
All right, y'all ready to jump into favorite kill, least favorite kill, and the rating?
Let's do it.
All right, I'm gonna go last this week if y'all don't mind. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
I'll get mine out. I was gonna say I'll get mine out of the way because
Okay, go
Nico
ahead.
and I have been on the outs as far as the past few picks of his, so
On the
it's fine.
outs.
Listen, I just want to say that first and foremost, I love my brother Nico, and second of all, this movie had its flaws. Like I thought that it's an enjoyable movie only because of the length. Had it gone any longer, I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. M. Night Shyamalan can write his ass off, but I felt like this movie just didn't hit like me or hit like his others did to me. So as we'll just go least favorite kill, favorite kill. There's only two, right? So I got to go with Nana's being my least favorite and Pop Pop being my favorite, just because seeing Tyler smash that refrigerator door while yelling football metaphors, it really did it for me, because we're in late August, meaning football's coming up. So I just needed to see someone get killed to football words. That being said, overall, I do not hate this movie. I will watch this movie again. I've seen it twice in the past 3 or 4 days. I will watch it again. I'm a huge M. Night Shyamalan fan. This isn't one of my favorite M. Night Shyamalan movies, so I got to give it a 6.25.
All right, I'll go next. So my favorite kill is Pop Pop. My least favorite kill is Nana. There's not much to choose from here, but that's definitely the order I would put those in. Again, like this movie, I think it, for a found footage style movie, I think it works. I think the camera not being this grainy ass Blair Witch Project style, it makes it different, and it helps the movie a lot. And again, I wouldn't have wanted to see the Blair Witch shot like this, but I think that on this movie, it definitely helps. This is again I'll say it's probably in my top 4 to 5 of M. Night Shyamalan movies as ones that I enjoy. Because again, it is kind of a true horror movie, and he doesn't always make those, there's thrillers and stuff like that. But I think this movie does really well with the horror stuff that it does use. And again, it's a fucking riot as far as laughing. Like, there's a lot of good laughs here. And I'm a horror comedy fan, so I got no issue with my comedy being in with my horror, as long as it's done well and done right. And I think this movie hits on all those points. The acting is good. The story is good. Again, it's not like my favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie, but I do enjoy it. So all that being said, I gave it a 7.25, 1 point higher than Dustin.
Okay. I'll go. Best kill, worst kill. Brought to you by Could Be You. Hit us up. Don't go out there.com.
Don't go out there.com. Don't you want this luscious voice to read your ad? Come on.
Luscious. Yeah, you got that right. Yeah. Anyway, it's the same as them as Dustin and Mike. I mean, you can't really. I like them exactly like that, and for the reasons you guys gave. This to me ranks somewhere between a 7.5 and an 8. I got in trouble the last time I went like 10 or 15 decimals out. Nico yelled at me. So
I'll never do it again.
He did yell.
You did. You yelled and you shut me down. I'm going to go with just a 7.75. I almost wanted to go to an 8, but I think it's right there, and that's good for me. I mean, like I said, I really like all of the M. Night Shyamalan movies that I've ever seen. This is no exception at all. And if you haven't seen it, go out there and see it. Especially if you're like real Matt Sears and have a fear of children and old people being naked. This has got it all for you. So you definitely need to go check it out.
All right. Favorite kill is Pop Pop. The kill is intense and funny, with Tyler yelling football techniques, and then any other crazy bitch ass. I love that line too. Yeah. And my least favorite kill, I picked the off screen real grandparents.
Okay.
Nice. Okay. Nice. I mean,
you have the off screen grandparents, and you have Stacy in the tree. So
that's fair.
Yep. Damn, that's true.
Okay. That's true.
My rating, I gave this movie a 9. I love it. I'm gonna read my cons first. There's not many cons to me, but one that bothers me is how would a mother just ship her kids off and not even show them what their grandparents look like. Also, these grandparents are brave going on walks and into town as escaped mental patients by the hospital that you fucking escaped from. So they're pretty brave to do that. I don't know if I believe that much. The pros, I remember seeing this the first time at one of my previous jobs and being completely shook at the plot twist. I still get the goose pimples when mom says those aren't your grandparents. I think the acting in the whole film is excellent. Big shout out to Deanna Dunnigan, 74 years old, doing this film. Very impressive. Not a fan of found footage, really, but this one is great. Like I said, mentioned earlier, Chris Stuckman made a great point about this found footage film. It doesn't have the ridiculous jump scare noises, music, etc. that would be found in a found footage film. The film is shot well, and you feel the kids' anxiety and fear and their WTF is going on mood as their grandparents, in parentheses, or not parentheses, quotations, show who they really are. I really like this movie. I'm glad that I think everyone seemed to enjoy it somewhat. So yeah, I really had fun. I've wanted to pick this for a while, but I've been kind of intimidated just because found footage films are they're so hard for me to take notes on. Honestly, I don't know about y'all, but they're kind of a pain. But I really enjoyed this movie. Y'all got any final thoughts before Dustin announces his pick?
Yeah, I want to say you're absolutely right, and I want to change my pick for least favorite kill because I meant to say this earlier, but it's like the grandparents lure the one lady, and I can't think the one that they end up hanging. Like they lure her away, almost like they're going to drown her or like put her in the well, or that well is finally going to come into play or something. And then suddenly she's hanging from the tree. So like, did they kill her and then they drug her ass back up there and then hung her up and took the? I mean, like that's what. Yeah, you know what? That's right. That's my new least favorite kill. Fuck that.
Yeah. You know, you're 100% right because I didn't even account for those because I kind of took it as they were dead before the movie, quote unquote, movie began. But well, at least the grandparents. You know. So, but I'm gonna agree with you, Nico. Like, I do enjoy this film. I know that I had the lowest score on everything, but I kind of have low score on a lot of things that we do as a whole, but I don't want to make it seem like I shit on this movie because I enjoy anything M. Night Shyamalan does.
No, that's
as a whole.
What your rating is what the IMDb gives it overall 6.2. I think is what it averages out. So I mean, I get it.
Overall, we gave this film a 7.5625. 7.5625 is a pretty damn good rating, and that should let you know like it's an enjoyable film. So. I didn't want to seem like I was shitting on the film, but I do agree in retrospect because I wasn't considering those kills. Yes, the original grandparents have taken over as my least favorite kills because we didn't see it. We just saw a rotten head in a dumpster in the basement. Come on.
Yeah, and a bloody hammer.
Yeah.
But really appreciate you guys' thoughts on the movie. I'm glad we all didn't agree on everything. Brian, you got any final thoughts on shipping your kid off without showing him what the grandparents look like, or are we ready for Dustin to announce his pick?
What Nico's referring to is like I was kind of, we had talked a little bit before about what we discussed earlier in the podcast about her shipping her kids off without really doing it, and I had written down, that I felt like that, that she fled their house nearly 2 decades ago. There's no cell phones under those very quick circumstances either. And, she's deliberately refrained from seeing or speaking to them despite, them reaching out multiple times. But, I even wrote down that I got a little deep. I said, I think the hurt that she feels is like so intense that even having pictures of them around is too painful, which I think that M. Night tried to drive home. But now, after we kind of had our discussion about it earlier, and I still think that that's what they're intending, but I do agree now that it's a little bit harder to believe after hearing some of you guys' points too. So that's what he was referring to there.
I think M. Night's biggest mistake was mentioning that they had like a profile on as guidance counselors or whatever on the website. It's like, yeah, they don't have a picture on there of who they are. Okay. I would not ship my niece or my future kids off without. I'm just not shipping them off. I'm taking them there myself probably. But love this movie. Dustin, you ready to announce your pick? If y'all are ready for a show with some fireworks, tune in.
Hey, let's go, baby. Listen, I got to tell you something here, brother. Let me tell you something, Hulk Hogan style. So when I was first asked to come aboard this beautiful journey that is the Don't Go Out There podcast, Nico and I, we're on the same page a lot of times. I know you wouldn't gather that by listening to
the last few
some of Nico's last few picks, but that's okay. That's okay. Overall, though, we both agree that Jason Voorhees is the greatest slasher of all time. And we both agree that overall, you know you're wrong. You shut your mouth. So we both overall know that Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, is an underrated piece of
Shit.
filmography.
Oh
no,
I didn't know where you're going with that. I'm sorry.
Giant piece of
Whoa.
shit, and I cannot wait to fuck around and shit all over it.
So next week, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Nico and I are going to win the tag team championship against
You are.
Brian and Mike, because we're going to tell you all the reasons why that movie is not as bad as you remember.
It's awful.
There are literally two people on this earth that like that movie, and they're both on this damn podcast. Of course they are.
And I can't wait, baby.
Hey, Dustin. Hey, your pick is Tyler, and Mike, his opinion is Grandpa Pop's shitty diaper.
No, sir. No.
You damn right.
Jason Takes Manhattan is the shitty diaper.
No, I'm slamming that head in the refrigerator door and be like, "You like that, baby?"
I'll be honest. There's a part of me that would rather get Pop the Tower than have to watch this fucking movie again.
Oh my god!
Wow.
All right, we're off the rails.
Anyways, looking forward to next week. Had a great time tonight. We really appreciate all the support. If you haven't turned us off yet after that debate, give us a quick 5-star rating on iTunes. We really would appreciate that. We're growing, reaching out to new people, and follow us on social media. That really help us out a lot too. Just want to remind everybody.